Welcome everyone. Welcome to the webinar Writing is Thinking, Unlocking Your Potential Through Writing. We have a very special guest with us, Mr. Chetan Kale. Mr. Chetan is a BTech from YCCE Nagpur and an MBA from VG SOM, that is an IIT Kharagpur. He has corporate experience working in banking sector for more than 8 years. He is currently working as a digital assets research analyst at Seba Bank AG. Mr. Chetan has also worked as a freelance writer, writing for various crypto agencies and their social media handles. He also has a podcast, The Space Road, available on YouTube and Spotify. So we welcome you, Chetan. We welcome to the webinar. We welcome you to Jaipuria Institute of Management, Jaipur.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank you, Chetan, for being here. So, Chetan, I understand writing is a part of your, job description, being a research analyst. But were you always a writer? I mean, is writing something you've always done? If not, can you tell me how it all got started?
Yeah, so certainly writing is not something which I have always done. This is something I started doing maybe like 3 years ago, or maybe like 4 years ago, in some capacity. So, and I really did not know that I have writing abilities or I can write well or something like that. So I think it started with me writing emails when I was working with Kotak Bank, and these are like internal communication emails. You write to your different teams to try to get your work done, and there are always like delays for some reason or the other. And then when you are like frustrated with calling everybody and your work is not getting done, then I sort of like resort to writing emails and making my point, and so that other people take action. So I started doing that like unconsciously. It was my way of getting work done. I wanted just my work to be done. And I started writing emails to my manager, his manager, like a couple of other people who were involved in those particular cases. And I think after a while, like maybe after a couple of months, I sort of got this feedback from one of the higher management person saying that I read your emails. I think they are to the point, and you sort of like communicate the idea very well. And like frankly, I was surprised by it. Like he's giving me that compliment, but then I sort of like started doing it consciously. Like if my writing is like good, if they are giving me this compliment, maybe like I should try to improve or focus more on it, or maybe put a little more effort into those email itself. I was doing only emails back then, like nothing else. So yeah, it's sort of like started like that. I understood that I have some ability to communicate my thoughts in a better way. And then I think it gradually led to I doing other things, like then gradually writing about my interest on social media, and then thinking about what else can I do with this, and then I wrote a blog of my own. I like designed my own website and like wrote 1-2 blogs there. I was still working back then, but I started playing around with it, and that's how it started. Yeah, and then yeah, I mean, it led to other things.
Wow, that's fascinating because we all know that, we all have been sending emails. Email is like it's like a regular habit for all of us, but you have minded into something else that's really wonderful to know, Chetan. Okay, so Chetan, so now what are the topics that you write about?
Yeah. So yeah, good question. Yeah, like before I answer that question, like when I was writing this email, I was not like consciously trying to get into a writer zone and I want to like do all these things. It was like unconsciously the things happened. And like once I like started receiving positive feedback, then I sort of like started putting in more conscious efforts.
Okay.
Now coming to the topics that I write about, it's yeah, so like there are all sorts of writer people write for like in today's day and age where almost everyone is consuming so much content. There is a lot of entertainment content writers that we see across different digital marketing agencies or YouTube channels, and then for other things as well. But I mostly do like maybe technical writing is what I want to say, because I write about cryptocurrencies, like what is happening in this space. I do some research reports on that. It is a part of my job, full-time job. And yeah, so cryptocurrencies is one topic. And then other two topics that I try to focus on, which are like my interest areas, are space exploration, like rockets landing and launching, ISRO, SpaceX, NASA, all these guys doing amazing work. I try to write about them. And then I also write about sustainable energy, environment around us, electric vehicles, solar energy that we generate, how we are moving towards from a fossil fuel energy dominated world towards a more sustainable energy world, where the power is generated through solar energy or wind energy for that matter. And then how do you store it and how do you consume it? So basically three topics that are focused on: space exploration, sustainable energy, and cryptocurrencies.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. So students, if you have any questions, please type in your questions in the Q&A. We'll gradually take them. In between also, we can take them, or we can also take them afterwards, after we have our discussion with Chetan. So Chetan, you write about these three things. You write about crypto, you write about space exploration, and you mentioned sustainable energy and EV and all of that. So, you know, you would have to do a lot of research into it. So I'm slightly diverting from the topic, but like, can you tell us what is your process of research? And once you've answered this question, we would also love to know what is your process of writing. And is this process different for all sorts of writing, or is this process topic based or platform based? So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with how do I research about things. So like, yeah, obviously, if you are writing about something, you need to like consume a lot of content. It can be like multiple formats. It can be just reading blogs or reading the websites, different project websites, or it can be like consuming video content. It can be consuming audio podcast. So basically, you need to consume a lot of content if you are like writing about any particular topic. Now, say for example, if you want to write about say a YouTube sketch, probably you need to consume content around how sketches are made, and then what different parameters you should consider while making a story look good and things like that. Now, since I write about these topics, the two things, like basically all three things that I write about, these are sort of my interest area. They were nowhere related to the job that I was doing. I was working with a bank back then. It was mostly talking about banking products with clients, and having internal communication regarding financial infrastructure and things like that. Nowhere related to like what I'm doing right now. So it has to start from the interest. Like, you need to have interest. So I had this interest in Elon Musk, basically. Like, I'm sure everybody knows who he is. So I started following his companies, maybe like since 2015 or 16. So it's been like 7 years now. And just understanding like what they are doing, like listening to podcasts, watching a lot of YouTube videos, and then maybe like keeping up with it. Like, once you need to like understand what is happening, and then like you keep up with it on a daily basis, like what happened today, and then what is going to happen like next week, things like that. So yeah, research is basically consuming a lot of content about the topics that you want to write about, so that there is a clarity in your mind, that there is some sort of clarity and depth about that topic in your mind. And then like you can project your thoughts through your writing, like what you think of it, and like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what is exciting, what is not. Or yeah, so consume a lot of content about the topics that you want to write about or create content. It cannot only be writing, it can be like all different formats of content. Then yeah, coming to the question of how do I, like, what's my process looks like, and if it is different for different platforms. So yeah, like the short answer is it is different for different platforms. Obviously it has to be, because the audience is different everywhere. The audience on LinkedIn is very different. Probably the audience on Twitter is different. There are overlaps. Certainly there are overlaps, but sort of like audience is different, and you need to consider that who you are writing for. And then if you are writing blogs, say for example, so that audience is again different. They are there to, spend their time 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes on your post and read it. It's not like a social media post where people are just scrolling and like the attention span is very low. So platform wise it differs where you are writing. But you can always like repurpose your content. Say for example, you have written a blog post, you can like maybe do 2 or 3 LinkedIn posts out of that blog post, or you can like create some Instagram post or some infographic images out of that blog post that you have wrote. So a lot of repurposing that happens, but you need to keep in mind like what audience you are writing for. And then about the process, so how I usually do it is I decide on what topic I want to write about. So it's taxing if you are thinking every day. Like content creation is sort of like an everyday job. So if we are thinking every day that what I'm going to write about today or what content I'm going to create today, it is like taxing. It takes a lot of mental energy to think and see like if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. And then you need to like make sure that you are writing about right things, you are not communicating any wrong information to your audience and things like that. So how I do it is I sort of like decide what topics I'm going to write about in, say for example, 1 week, like this coming week, what I'm going to write about. So once I have like broad ideas about what I'm gonna write, then you fix on one topic and then you focus on it. And I think writing by itself is like reading by itself is like not very entertaining. So you always need different images or graphics to keep your audience, engaged or like help them able to think about what you are writing. So a lot of images and graphics also are like sort of necessary. So I decide the topic, then I usually look for the graphics that I'm going to include in my post or images I'm going to include in my post. And then you do an outline like, yes, so this is the key message, whatever key message you want to point out, like you would write maybe like a basic introduction first or a hook for your audience to, commit, for them to like spend next 2, 3, 5 minutes to read these things. So the first section would usually be introduction or a hook, which commits audience. And then you do your key message, what ideas you want to communicate and like why you want to say that, like why is it important for you to, say and other people to understand. And then the last section, so I divide it in 3 lines. My outline is usually 3 sections. One is hook or introduction, the key message, which is like main part of the post. And then the third is sort of like call to action or like something for the reader to think after he has done reading this. So these 3 things is what how I outline. So fix on a topic, look for images or graphics, and then outline these things. Once you have this, then you just write about it. You already have it in your mind, like you have done enough research for it, so you write it down. And once you write it down, you let it flow, and you don't like do all the editing at that point of time. You just like write it out. And once you write it, then probably you take some time to edit it. So there is this one very interesting quote. Yeah, I can call it quote by some LinkedIn person. So he said there, to improve your writing, you need to be like write fast and edit slow. So you just write very fast, like whatever ideas you have in your mind, like just jot them down on a page, like on a screen, and then you take your time to edit it. Like maybe you write in 15 minutes, but you edit it in half an hour, so that you like, make it concise. You are making sure that whatever data you are putting out is like a right data, correct data. And then your key message is like being communicated very well. So write fast, edit slow, and then do the fact checking of whatever data you are providing. So yeah, that's how my process usually looks like. Yeah, and it's like different for different platforms. Like LinkedIn is usually short post, not like too detailed, because people are scrolling, they don't have enough attention. If you want to write something in detail, then maybe you go write on a blog in that case. And for my job, I do these research reports on a monthly basis, which are usually fairly detailed, like 8 to 10 pages. So they take a lot more time. It's not like one day I will sit and write everything. So that's like that goes to like maybe like 3 to 5 iterations before it's finally ready to be published. You write first, keep adding data, you maybe like change things, and then so longer the format, it would take more time to like complete, fact check, and like get it ready for publishing. But shorter formats usually don't take that much time.
All right. So, Chetan, you mentioned that you did some freelancing for crypto agencies and their social media handles. So, can you tell us the experience of doing that? Like, what is different, or some sort of experience of writing those social media handles and other things?
Yeah, for sure. So this was the first time. So this is at the beginning of 2021, January 2021. So this is when I finally quit my job at Kotak and decided to get into sort of like full-time role of doing what I like or the topics that I am concerned about. So at the beginning of 2021, by that time I had figured out that I have decent writing skills, and then like maybe I can utilize this. This is a skill that I can leverage and like make some money out of it. And like people can do like all different sorts of thing in freelancing, like writing, content writing, video editing, software development, graphic designing, and many more things. But I decided to like focus on crypto writing specifically because the industry was booming. We had a bull run last year. This year it is not much of a bull run. Prices are down for most part of the year, but last year prices were going up. A lot of money was flowing into the ecosystem. Different companies were popping up. Venture capitalists were also. So I sort of like tried to grab the opportunity and got into writing. Now within crypto also there are like only limited jobs, if you may, because it is mostly about software development or like blockchain development, as they call it. And then the other major part is the education, like how do people like understand this better, because there is a lot of like noise around it. A lot of people want to talk about crypto, but they don't really understand it well enough. So education is a very big part of crypto industry. And given that, like, even though I am an engineer, but I don't know how to code, I like never took up that skill. I might like in the future, but I thought like software development is not what I can do. So maybe like I can work on this educational piece where I sort of like try to create content. Again, I did not start with videos back then. I thought like writing blog post and social media post for these companies makes sense because it aligned with my skill set at the time. So yeah. So I started with blog post for different websites like crypto media companies. So to take few names, maybe CryptoQuant is one, and then you have like a lot of India-based companies. CoinCrunch is one media company, crypto media company. Then there is Crypto Briefing. This is a US-based company. Again, like media companies, crypto media companies. Then a lot of others also. Like I have not worked for all of them, but worked for some of them. Like if students are interested, I think they can look it up. There are like leading crypto media companies are CoinDesk, CoinMarketCap, Messari, CoinGecko. So some of these companies like produce a lot of content on a daily basis, and they regularly invite guest writers to do content pieces. So yeah, I got in touch with some of them, mainly through LinkedIn, but also Twitter. And yeah, so this is not really like related to writing, but I just like, since we are talking about freelancing, I want to share that there are like different ways how you can like monetize these efforts. So for writing specifically, like there are different ways for different things. For writing, like you can go with like per word pricing. Like if you write 1,000-word article, you would get X amount of per word pricing. Then you can do like project wise pricing, like for a 1 month project I would do like X number of articles, and then I can do like X number of social media posts for different platforms for this 1 month. So that's how the pricing part works. Like I am sure people in the audience, like some people in the audience might already know this. And yeah, so I started with blog post. By that time, I already had my website up. I had some portfolio there, like 5-6 articles there, so that when I'm approaching new people to get the work, I can show them that I have done these things already. You can look at it and then maybe we can discuss further. So having a portfolio is sort of like necessary. It doesn't have to be paid gigs, but you can just write about whatever topics you are interested in, and you have something to show to other people that you have these skills and you can do the job. So started with blog post initially, and then gradually I moved towards social media also. So I used to do like LinkedIn posts for few of the clients, and Twitter threads for some of the clients. So Twitter threads are like really engaging if you are writing on a good topic. So and Twitter threads are usually difficult to write, I would say, because again you have to write in like within 240 character limit each tweet, and then yeah, I mean you can do multiple tweets, but it's sort of like has to be engaging. Like each tweet has to be engaging enough for people, for readers to stick around. So yeah, that was the overall experience of freelancing. I like did not continue with it because it's a hustle of like getting new clients every month and then like keeping them, negotiating with each client, and then like discussing your pricing and all that trouble that comes with it. But that said, I think it is a great way for students or for anybody basically to start exploring your interest and start doing some work.
That's great, Chetan. Thank you for sharing it. Now, Chetan, I'd like to delve a little deeper on this topic of writing. So, Chetan,
Yeah.
writing, as we all know, makes an impact on you, right? It definitely makes an impact on you. So, uh, has it impacted your critical thinking skills or decision making skills? I mean, in what form or shape has writing impacted you, if I may?
Yeah, certainly. Like short answer is certainly it does. So I want to say this, like once you start writing, you sort of like start exploring your own thoughts in a more like detailed manner. When you're talking to somebody, you are not thinking too much. You are just like saying whatever comes to your mind, the first thing that comes to your mind. But when you are writing about something, I think you sort of like go deeper and look if does this really make sense? Should I say this or should I not say this? Like if I say this, like what sort of like reaction I can get from people, or like how people can perceive it. Like ideally they should perceive it in a right attitude, but like it cannot always be the case. There might be like some instances where people will like, you wanted to say something else, but like people perceived it in some other way. So yeah, so you when you start writing, you sort of like start exploring your own thoughts more in depth, and that is like that helps tremendously in like generally in your life. So once you start doing this like enough times, even if you are not writing in your day-to-day life, if you are like, if you want to make any decision, you would like critically evaluating it, if this makes sense or this does not make sense. Then just to give you an example for students also. So I think we like read a lot of like new, these days we don't, but we used to read a lot of newspaper and a lot of media websites we read these days. And everyone has their own agenda about whatever topic they are talking about. Like everyone has their agenda. Even if you say that, like, I trust this person or I trust this company, that they can never say anything wrong. It can be anything. They have some agenda they have behind it. So when you start reading these different people, you you have already got into the process of writing yourself, you start to understand their agenda or their narrative behind it. Like what is the point they are trying to communicate? Why are they saying such thing in such like manner? So I think that helps tremendously to for you to understand like what you should trust and what you should not trust. So I think that makes a lot of difference. So how I quantify it to myself is like, I try to treat everything I read on the internet as just information. I'm not like believing, if you say it, I'm not believing it that it is true. I'm just reading it. Yeah, I like, thank you for writing about it, or like I understand what you have read, but like I'm not blindly trusting you. I try to understand like why you have written this. What is your motivation? Is it like money? Is it like just making money? Is it just like gaining more attention? Is it like a clickbait? You are writing about something else, your title says something else, but your content says something else because you have some other hidden agenda. So and I do not used to understand these things like before I started writing. So I think that is like a massive like help in critical thinking of like how you should like think about things and how you should like understand information, how you should build your own perspective. So treat everything that you read on the internet as just information and then make up your own perspective about it. And everyone has a unique perspective, like that's the beauty of it. I might say some things, like I might see some things in a different way, you might see some things in a different way, and your own perspective that you have built would be much better for you than whatever I say. If you believe like I say this, and if you believe, yeah, this is the truth, but rather than if it has its own perspective, I think that would be much better. So yeah, getting into writing has certainly helped me like critically think about things, not just while writing, obviously during writing, but in general as well, like how you make decisions, how you perceive people, how you talk to people, and things like that. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. It's making complete sense to me, and I'm sure it's making complete sense to students as well. They've just finished, I think a heavy amount of writing. They've written blogs. They've written blogs about their personal experiences. They've written blogs about some information. They've written movie reviews,
Okay.
book reviews. So I think they might be, aligned
Okay.
with whatever you're speaking. Not in that intensive manner as you are, but somewhere close to that idea.
Okay.
All right, Chetan. So I think so. You spoke a very beautiful thing that whatever you read on the internet, you take as just as information. But we also have to understand that there are some credible information and some not so credible information. So while you're doing your research for writing, how
Hmm.
do you differentiate between these credible versus non-credible sources?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. It is like very important to like provide right information to your audience. And when you say right information, like the data whatever you are providing has to be uh, like genuine. The data has to be true. It cannot be like false data or something like that. So what I usually do is, like, whenever I am putting in any data matrix in my content, and like it is usually necessary for you to like gain audience attention and have them stick around and trust you in the long term. uh, since I write about like these technical things, I think it is easier for me to like have well-known sources. Like if I'm talking about, say for example, any stock, say for example Tesla stock, so I would like only rely on the financial statements that the company has published, which is in the public domain. And they are again, those financial statements are vetted by their auditors, their external auditors, and they are submitting these statements with the regulators as well. So that data has to be correct. I mean, they cannot like provide false data for any publicly listed company for that matter. So if you are writing about any publicly listed companies, about their financials in any shape or form, like definitely just trust their financial statements. And like I'm sure MBA students would learn how to read financial statements, or like they already do. So yeah, for those type of things, company financial statements are the best thing. The second best thing would be like whatever company or project you are writing about, how do they have their own website, like what they are saying on their website, like is it like well written, or uh, yeah, so websites, basically their own websites is another great source to like verify information if it is right or not. And when you do not have these sources, then you sort of need to look around within the community, like what other people are talking about it, what other people are writing about. So like some well-known journalists for that matter, or like maybe well-known writers who already have their own blogs, who have like thousands and thousands of subscribers. They are pushing out blogs every week, every month, whatever frequency. So you like try to study them, and you like see like this person, and over time you build your own trust on that person. Yeah, if it is coming from this person and there is no other source that I can verify it with, maybe I will trust this particular source. And this is like not built in a day. Like you cannot like figure out a person today and like trust him completely. It has to be like over time. And if you like do it enough, if you know them enough, if you read them enough, you would like get that idea, like if they are right or not. And most people, when they write blogs, they like mention their sources. So you can like refer to their sources as well. Like that is a great hack to, like get to the bottom of things. Like if I'm not able to find a source on my own, then maybe like this person also writes about this topic. Like I will see what he has written and like what sources he has used, like where is he getting his information from. And yeah, I mean, most of them are public, but like sometimes these sources are like not available to the public. They are like behind a paywall, you have to pay to get that data and things like that. So basically like company financial statements or website information or information on their social handles like Twitter, LinkedIn, yeah, not so much Facebook these days, but Twitter and LinkedIn. And then um, and then trusting people who know what they are doing, who are like consistently writing about these topics, and like maybe looking into their sources and to do fact checking. So I think these are some of the great ways to sort of like quantify what you are writing about and being true to the information that you are providing. um yeah, just one more thing that I want to mention. And when I do talk about or write about cryptocurrencies, so cryptocurrencies by nature, I'm sure some people know, by nature are open source, and whatever transactions that happen on these networks are open for anybody to see and verify. So for that, it is like fairly easy. You can go on the website and see that all transactions are like publicly visible, so you can verify the data yourself. So it's like slightly easier in that case. But again, if you need like nuanced information, like if you need to like look at if you want to like create some charts, if you want to show some trajectory, then you need like some paid services who like provide that data. But I think most of the things are like available publicly, and if you are just starting out, I think like free sources are the great way to like do that.
That's nice. Thank you, Chetan. So, Chetan, I think you've explained this before also, but I want to specifically ask, since you write blogs on the Space Road, and if I'm not wrong, the Space Road is also the name of a YouTube channel where you have a podcast
Yeah,
of your own that's available
yeah.
also on Spotify. So, when you create content for these two platforms, like what exactly is the difference, or what's your, like, how do you start and how do you take forward your writing and your entire approach to content creation for these two platforms?
Yeah, so I think I explained about like what I do for blogs or for my like
Yeah.
company research reports. That is pretty much yeah, sometimes like you when you decide on what topics you want to write about, you have to make sure that these topics are relevant enough, people want to like read about it. It cannot be like out of the blue that you are writing, nobody is talking about it, and like you expect people to come and read about it. So it has to be like somewhere in the discussion among like on the internet or in some like closed communities. So that's how like you choose topics. And like, yeah, so for blogs or for reports, like you choose a topic, you like sort of like do your images, graphics, or charts, data charts and all those things. And then like you outline, you write, you edit, you fact check. That's the process for like writing blogs or reports. For a podcast, yeah, so this is something I am like still learning to be very frank, and trying to get better at it. But I usually like connect with people on LinkedIn and like send them an invite, and explain what I do and like why I'm reaching out to them, or like how I found out their profile, why I'm reaching out to them. So people usually, like whenever you are reaching out to a new person, they usually like to know like how you figured out about them or how you know about them. So like whenever you are writing a message to a new person, or even if a cold email for that matter, uh, try to like mention how you found out about them or why you are writing to them in the first place. So that sort of like gets their attention, and then you talk about like what you do and what you want from them. So I reach out to people on LinkedIn, let them know how I found them and why I'm reaching out to them, and then share my links, like whatever work I have done, sort of like portfolio. As I said previously, like you share your work for them to like establish some sort of credibility, and them to trust you. So you reach out, you like share your work, and then you ask if like for podcast, I usually reach out for podcast. So I asked like if they are interested in doing a podcast, a video or a audio. Some people would agree to do a video, some people would not agree to do a video. So I have one podcast on my YouTube and Spotify, which is like with two people, and that is an audio only podcast. And I don't even know the real name of those two people. But I did a podcast with them because they run a Twitter handle called DeFi India, where they talk about what's happening in DeFi space within cryptocurrencies very frequently, and their information is like very to the point, and the data is always correct. So I did a podcast with them as well, even though I don't know them, but the content that I pulled out from that was very valuable. It was valuable for me to learn as well as for my audience to, listen to it. And once they decide that yes, we agree to do this, you would usually send in a set of topics or questions that you would want to ask them. I don't specifically send questions, but I do send topics yeah, I want to touch on this topic and then these other three things. Or maybe you try to talk to them about their own journey, how they started all these things and how they have reached at this particular point, how their work is making an impact, and how they want to proceed in the future, what else they want to do. So yeah, that's for basically podcast. And then I don't do this enough, but I think would be helpful. I'll just share some thoughts. I have not done it enough, but I'll share some thoughts. Is that creating, say, for example, short form content, like reels. We all consume a lot of reels these days, and we consume a lot of short videos on YouTube and Facebook and other places. So for that, I think the writing process pretty much works similar to what we do for blogs, not for podcasts, for blogs, but it again has to be very tight. It's a 15-second video or a 30-second video, mostly maybe 1 minute video. So you have to make your writing very tight, tight in the sense that you first explain the idea that you want to do, you write it down, then maybe you do multiple iterations on it if it is making sense or not. You do that couple of times, and once you have a good enough what do you call draft of it, then you proceed with it. So yeah, I think that's how the process works. And when I'm sharing these thoughts, you need to understand this, I have not sort of got any training for it. This is all what I am doing and how I am figuring things out. So it may not be perfect. It is not perfect, obviously. But yeah, this is the process that is working for me right now, and I'm improving day by day. So whatever works for you, instead of getting in spending too much time about I don't know how to write, I need to learn how to write, instead of doing that, just write. You will learn while you do it. So taking that step is what matters, instead of just sitting on the fence. So yeah, that's how my process usually looks like. Yeah.
All right, Chetan. So Chetan, reading and writing are complementary to each other. Like you said, you do a lot of research to write. So can you tell us a little bit about your readings? What all content do you consume? You read a book, audiobook, website. What all reading do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts from reading, right? You cannot write if you are not reading. You cannot create a YouTube video if you are not consuming any YouTube content. So it's like that. So it all starts with reading. So yeah, I think I started reading when I was in college, and I started with Chetan Bhagat, I think most people do. So yeah, 5 Point Someone was his first book, which sort of got very popular. So that was the first book I read, apart from the books of school and college curriculum. So then I read a couple of more Chetan Bhagat books, but it was not that interesting anymore. Then sort of wanted to do something else. But you have to do that also consciously. We get too busy these days, and today reading habits are again dying a slow death, because we have access to this so much different form of content, video content especially. So yeah, I started with Chetan Bhagat, reading few books of him, just for entertainment purpose, nothing more to it. But I think I sort of had this interest in reading in general. So I used to read on the internet also, Wikipedia pages I used to read a lot. If you want to know about something, just go on its Wikipedia page and just start reading. I think that's sort of the best place to start exploring something, because Wikipedia usually has links to different things within that article. So if you want to like explore anything specific in detail, you just click on the link and it takes you a different web page where you can learn about it in more detail. So Wikipedia is what I used to do. And yeah, so in the next phase, so this was sort of like an initial phase, and then when I like consciously tried paying more attention to reading, like, yeah, I want to build this habit of reading. I think it helps me think and all those things. I started reading biographies. So I think I enjoy reading biographies. I don't really enjoy reading nonfiction, like a lot of people do, but like I don't. So I read Elon Musk's biography, obviously, 2015. Then Steve Jobs, Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, and then like these are like very well-known names. But otherwise, also you read these biographies. I think those are like great. And then like some sort of like finance or self-help books, like. I'm sure like a lot of people know Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then maybe Think and Grow Rich, or The Psychology of Money. So like when you read these things, yeah, when you read in general, it sort of like enables you to imagine things. Like this is how I
Hmm.
see it. Like if I'm watching a video, that video maker has already done the job of imagining it and communicating that idea. So I'm just looking at his perspective, his or her perspective of that particular topic. But I'm reading about that topic, I'm making the images in my own head about it. Like can be
Right.
anything, like
Hmm.
even if non-fiction, like non-fiction, I think like works very well in that case, where like you have these different worlds like Harry Potter, there is like magic happening, so everyone is imagining magic in their own way. Obviously the book is doing its job of like letting you know like what it looks like, but again everybody's image is different in their own mind. But once you watch the Harry Potter movie, now the image is that what is shown in the movie, right? So I think reading does this to you, and it's like very calming. Also, it's not like continuously demanding your attention. If you are watching a video, it is like continuously demanding your attention. If you are watching a video and if somebody is asking you something, like you have to pause the video and like listen to them, and again like you switch back to like giving your attention 100% to it. But reading is sort of like it doesn't demand that much attention, but it lets you imagine things on your own. And when you imagine things on your own, I think that helps you understand things better. That helps you build your own perspective of it. It can be like there is nothing like right or wrong perspective, but when you do that, like it's your own perspective, which you can always improve and iterate on. So reading certainly is essential, fundamental to our lives. And college learning is not only limited to college or like school. Learning is a lifelong process. Even if you are not consciously learning, society is already teaching you every day. Society is teaching you something or the other. Maybe not the things that you read in the books, but like social life it is teaching you, or something else it is teaching you. So like understand that learning is a continuous process. And like maybe like you learn consciously, like if you know that learning is continuous, you learn consciously, you read stuff, you consume content which like has high value in your own life, which you can some at some point of time implement. And yeah, so and this is how like it went. And right now I like try to read a book. Like I'm always reading some or the other book. It's like some days I'm not able to read, but yeah, usually night time is when I like grab my book like half an hour, 1 hour before sleep, a couple of pages. And like if the book is really interesting, then like I would spend more time. And yeah, so that's how it is. One more trick maybe like I want to share here is, if you don't like reading, like before you like start liking reading, nobody likes reading. So when you don't like reading, like maybe read about the things that are of your own interest. Like it can be whatever. It can be like movies, it can be sports, or it can be business, it can be some new sort of tech, can be anything. Like anything that you have some interest into, start reading about it. And that helps you get into the habit of like reading and understanding things. Once you are there, you can go ahead and like explore different topics for yourself. So I think that's a like great trick to like getting started with reading. Yeah.
That's great, Chetan. So Chetan, now I want to address a very a thing that I also face while writing is something called writer's block. Do you believe in writer's block? Does it happen
Yes,
to
it's
you?
very real. It's very real.
I'm so glad that you said it's real. So I mean, what do you do then? Like, when you see interviews of people like Stephen King, he says it right every day and all of that. But yeah, so how do you deal with it? How do you deal with writer's block?
Yeah, I mean, you don't always have something to write about, right? Like you need to have enough things to write about. You need to have enough things to say to write. So you don't always have that. Like maybe the best writers do, but like not everyone. And even if you look at the best writers also, the maybe like if you talk about people who write books, like there are like huge gaps between the two books that they have published. Maybe like they have published 2 or 3 books in a span of 2 years, 3 years, and then there is a 5 year gap. They have not published anything. So writer's block is like a very real thing. It happens to like all of us, best of us. And especially if you are like writing about, like, this is how think about it. If you are writing about, say, social media, which I think is a like a very base level to start with, and like most people are there. So if you're writing about social media, I would say, and if you have a writer's block, I would say like just show up, like just be there, and like maybe write 2 lines or 3 lines or whatever you are feeling that day. It doesn't have to be like about the topics that you always talk about. Like I don't like always write about the things, about the topics that I said earlier. Sometimes it can be about your personal life. Maybe you want to share some experience that you had, or maybe you just want to share that I am having a writer's block today, I don't know what to write, like suggest some ideas or something like that. So showing up is, I think, very important. And like once you show up and you have written some like 2 3 lines, it sort of like takes that load off you, that yeah, I was not feeling like writing, and I like how don't know how to proceed, but like I at least I showed up, I did something. And that improves, like that keeps your consistency first of all. And like once you like do that enough times, like it will be easier for you next time you have a writer's block. You will be like, yeah, like last time also this thing happened, I showed up, I did something, maybe like I will do something else. That is one way to do it. Another way can be like maybe like write about some abstract topic like that you don't usually write about, or something that you think is interesting, or something you want to explore. Say for example, tomorrow I want to go ahead and explore what's happening in say for example AI. So like I would like maybe like read some article, and I would say like this seems interesting, I'm reading this now, I'm how just work like that. So showing up, or like writing something which like sort of takes you out of that block, and next day you'll be fine because you know that you have done the work previous day also. Next day you'll be fine. And even if you're not able to do that, like which happens to me as well, I like resort to maybe like just reading that day. Like yeah, I'm not feeling like it, I'm not gonna write it, maybe I'll just read something interesting, or like whatever the uh, blog posts that I get in my email, maybe I will read one of them, or maybe I will read something on social media. Maybe I will study what other people are writing about, how they are being so consistent. So it's okay, like it's okay not to show up also, but like showing up has much more value than like not showing up. So like try to show up as much as possible. And if you are not able to do it, like just take a day off. Like everybody has to like take a day off at some point of time.
Thank you, Chetan. Chetan, we have a question here. Abhishek Gupta wants to ask that he want to write a blog about any technical topic. What are the key points that he should consider?
Okay. Technical topic. Okay, so if you want to like write about in like if you have, I'm assuming you have a topic in mind. It's not like it cannot be like anything. I'm assuming you have some topic in mind. So see how like what people are writing about that topic. Like first of all, like if you don't have your own perspective of it, like just see what other people are writing about it. Say for example, like yeah, I will take very common example. Maybe like I want to write technical things about Bitcoin, but I don't know enough about it. So I'll just see like what other people are writing about it, and and then you sort of like once you like see what other people are doing, you like have some perspective in your mind. This person said like Bitcoin is decentralized technology, it is open source, but this other person said Bitcoin is also used for fraudulent transactions or money laundering. But like, is it really the case or not? You sort of like question these different perspectives that people have. And like once you do that, like you will understand, yeah, like you will not like you will have your own perspective. Yeah, yes, it is like sometimes used for illegal transactions, but it is on the other hand, it is a like decentralized technology, open source technology, which also has like a lot of potentials for the society. So maybe like I want to put the perspective or in my blog, say for example. So for like a technical topic, to write about technical topics, you need to like understand what other people are writing. And it's not only about other people, like what do you think of it, like do you have enough understanding of it. And most of the time writing is about like explaining what you understand. Like when I write about things, like I understand that topic better for myself. Like it's very selfish, and you have to be selfish. Like you need to learn for yourself to be able to explain it to other people. If you don't understand it well enough, like why would other people trust you? So if you are not able to like communicate any idea very well, just think of it like I want to understand this better, I will read like 5 blogs or like consume different forms of content, and then I will write what I understood out of it. I think that's a like good way to start. And obviously it will be raw when you write it, but you refine it. Like you write a first draft and then you like do refine it in a second draft or a third draft. So yeah, I think that's a good way to like start writing technical things. And again, like you have to consume enough technical enough like content about it to have, and gradually you will get better at it. Maybe your first draft you will just be like touching on the like very macro view of things, like yeah, Bitcoin is this, like how when it was invented, how it is like existing right now, what it has survived over the long period of time. And then maybe in the next article you like go a little deeper into one of the aspects of it, like yeah, if it is a open source technology, like why open source technologies matter, and like what other open source technologies are there, and like how Bitcoin can make it better. And maybe in the third article you go deeper into like another aspect of it, maybe like you go deeper into decentralization, like what is decentralization, why does it exist, or why it matters, why does it have importance. So I think that's like sort of a good approach to take. Like write first from the perspective of like I want to this better, I have consumed content, like I'm writing down my own thoughts. And like once you have that, you sort of like try to go deeper into like individual aspects. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason. There's a second question. Shruti Bansal asks, what should we be more dependent on? Our own research or people's perspective when it comes to writing blog?
Yeah, definitely like your own research. So that is something you like want to improve over time. Like you might not be at the same level that the people you're consuming content from, because definitely they are doing it for maybe like they are doing it for the longer time than you are doing it, and they have a better understanding of things. That's why you want to like sort of trust them. Whatever this person is saying is right because he's including so many data points, he's talking about he's different perspectives and like making sense and like going towards right conclusion and things like that. It is all true, but at the end of the day, if you want to like do this consistently, you need to trust your own instincts and like trust your own research. It might not be there to that person's level today, but like your aim should be to get better. Like always try to do better and trust yourself. Like one day you might be like producing better research than that person you were consuming initially. Like who knows? So yeah, I mean, I would say like trust your own research, but like do facts, like don't throw random facts around. Whatever data points you are doing or whatever facts you are writing about, like do sort of like fact check things. And you can always like refer to other people's articles also in your own blog. Like, yeah, I think about these things like this. And then there is this person who has a different perspective. And I think that also makes sense. So maybe like you want to look at it, like maybe you can link his blog there, his or her blog there. But yeah, trust your own research. Like keep improving at it. Don't like blindly which I want to someone else, but keep improving it.
Thank you, Chetan. Chetan, I want to ask you, like, as of course we learn during the process of writing and we have our own learning path, but do you do something else to improve your writing skills? Like, uh,
Yeah, I think the connection is like not well. I did not hear the question.
okay, yeah.
Well,
So now am I audible, Chetan?
yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Chetan, I was asking that, of course, as we, write, we learn things, in the process of writing. But I want you to answer me that what other measures are you taking to improve your writing skills?
Okay. So, yeah. So apart from like writing only just blogs and social media posts and things like that, I started doing this thing of journaling for myself to understand my own thoughts better. I think that helps immensely. Like yeah, I mean, I'm not being very consistent with it, but like I want to, I'm getting there. I like try to like write at the end of the day like what I have done during the day. And journaling like can be done like in many different ways. For me it's like yeah, what are the things that I should have done it or not, or like what do I want to do on the next day. Or some people like to include like gratitude in their journal, like yeah, I'm thankful for these things in my life. And some people like to write about their own goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, how they are progressing, and things like that. So all these things sort of like creates um, what do you say, these things create a structure in your mind, like how you should be like thinking about different things and how you should be approaching it, and are you like making consistent progress towards it or not. So I think journaling is a great way to sort of like structure your own thoughts and get things done. And yeah, apart from that, I also like use a lot of these online tools that are there. So I use Grammarly when I'm writing, like when I'm editing, not writing, so that like I'm making sure my grammar is okay. Like it is not sometimes, but like yeah, that tool helps you like understand what mistakes you are doing, and like if you do it consistently enough, like you gradually like incorporate that in your writing. It also improves your vocabulary as well, because these tools suggest you like different words, like what words can you use instead of this. I think this word makes more sense. um, and then in general, when I'm reading a draft or editing a draft, I try to make sure that I'm not using too many words repetitively, so that like it doesn't look good when somebody is reading it, like I'm using one particular word like maybe 10 times or 15 times. But you can use different words with similar meaning. So maybe like try to mix different words. Don't use same words too many times. These are like some of the tricks that I do. Yeah, another thing I think is like keep your sentences like short. Don't like have too long sentences, um, because it is easier to consume and understand for the reader. So keep your sentences short. And I think this one feedback that I get from my boss at the job is like, uh, keep things like simple, like like think like whatever you're writing about, you are writing it for a person who is like very young, say for example 10 years old, who just like started reading or like started exploring these things. And the same content can be consumed by a 40-year-old also, by a 30 or 20-year-old also. So try to keep things as simple as possible. Don't just like put too many jargon words. Don't use repetitive words, short sentences, and break it down in paragraphs. I think that is another great way to retain your audience. Don't have like too long paragraphs. Like break it down into like maybe one big paragraph into 3 small paragraphs. I think that is something I do. And yeah, these are like some of the things like consciously I try to do for writing. I'm sure like there is a lot more that I can do going forward. And then like, so the last part of it is like, again, like you consistently try to consume better content. Like you cannot be consuming what you were consuming 6 months ago or 3 months ago or like 1 year ago. You keep on improving whatever content you consume. So yeah, I have this another quote in mind that I would like to share. Like maybe I don't know who said this, but like be very conscious about what you are consuming, because whatever you are consuming, that is like you are outputting to the world. So our brain is sort of like a printer. I think this guy Raj Shamani on YouTube, I think maybe people would know, I think he said it like our brain is like a printer. We would print whatever we consume. So you consume and then you print. It's like as simple as that. It makes total sense. So keep on like improving what you consume. Like don't just keep on consuming the same content again and again and again. Obviously, like there are some good people who like create good content and you would want to, like listen to them or read them, whatever they are writing. Like do that, but like keep experimenting also. Like try new things. Maybe like consume content on a different topic that you have like never done before. There might be something that you can learn from there. So consistently, like that is one that also like improves your vocabulary. Also you get to know like many more words. And even if you don't understand the meaning of words, like it happens with me also a lot of time, like try to understand the context of what they're trying to communicate. I think if you understand the context, you understand the meaning of the word also. So, and then might be like you might be using that same word in your writing as well sometime in the future. So yeah, these like smaller tricks that I said about like how you can improve smaller paragraphs, smaller sentences, not too many repetitive words, and iterating on multiple drafts, and then like basically keep consuming like high quality content. Choose education over entertainment when you are online, always. Like maybe like 90% of the time entertainment is also like good, all of us need that, but like usually try to choose education over entertainment.
Thank you, Chetan. That was a really insightful and wonderful talk. I think we all have learned a lot. Any quick question? We have to let Chetan go. So I guess, Chetan, I want to ask any final thoughts, any final suggestions that you want to give to these students, because you're also an MBA, right? So you better understand the first year or the first trimester mentality and how they are right now, in which space they are. So any suggestions or feedbacks, something that you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, generally, generally I like try to have a good time, like first and foremost, try to have like good time, make friends, and explore your interest. I think being in college is like the best place to explore your own interest. Like once you get into a corporate job, like you are spending 8 hours, 10 hours of your day into that job, and then there is like very limited time left. Say for example, 10 hours you are spending in the job, like then 8 hours you are sleeping, there are only like 6 hours left. Out of that, like you would spend 4 hours like eating or like doing other things, so like almost done. So I think like try to have a good time, explore your interest, like whatever you like try to learn about it more, maybe talk about it with your friends, see like people with similar interest, like interact with them. And like I think that's like basically it. I think MBAs are like great for peer learning, I would say, peer learning and networking. Like that teaches you a lot more things like than like whatever books or I mean, yeah, like I don't want to say it, but I think peer learning is great. Interact with your friends, like your professors as well. Like if you have some interesting thing in your mind and your friends are not able to help, or even if they are able to help, like but if you think like any particular professor can help you or any industry person can help you, like be active on LinkedIn, be active on Twitter, reach out to people and just ask. Like whatever you want. Like you don't know, like you might like get no for like most of the time, but if you just keep asking, there will be people who are ready to help you, like without anything in return. So I mean, explore your interest, like peer learning. These are the things. I think maybe like I want to end this with Steve Jobs's quote. So this is from one of his interview. He said that I like I was only asking people. So he got his first internship with HP when he was 12 years old. And he called the founder of HP. His number was in the phone book. He just called and he said, "I need like something for his school projects." And that guy said, "Yes, you can have it." And that guy gave him a job also in HP, doing the same thing that he wanted to do for his project. So he is like, just ask what you want. You might get no's a lot of time, but like if you keep on asking, you will like have an answer. So yeah, and like don't forget to have fun. Yeah.
I think there's one last question that we would like to end this with. Maganjeet Kaur asks, quality or quantity, which one is the most important in blog writing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would think like the easy answer is quality, which certainly is important, but it's that problem of like going behind, like doing something in a perfect fashion or just doing it. So I think just doing it has like a lot more value, because if you keep on doing it, you will eventually reach at that perfect level. You will iterate on it. So just like maybe if you are starting out, I would say like quantity is the most important thing. But once you have reached at some level, once you have the loyal audience who like trusts you and like looks up to you, in the I think that time like the quality matters. I think I said quality before also, but yeah, if you're starting out, I think quantity is what matters. Just get out there, keep on writing, keep exploring, keep learning, and like gradually your quality will improve. Like there is no doubt about it. If you do it enough times, if you do something 1,000 times, you are bound to like do it in the best possible manner. So quantity over quality to start out with. You will get quality, yeah, over time.
Thank you, Chetan. That was an enormous amount of knowledge that you passed on to us today. We are grateful, our students are grateful. So, on behalf of Jaipuria, again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for the experience and your talks. It was great to have you today, and we would love to have you again if you have some time.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this session. This was like my way of like providing some value to people. I think I had fun, and I hope people this whatever I talked about like helps people think better to start with. And yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter if you have any more questions. Like I usually reply like whatever it is, if it is not unreasonable. So yeah, I mean, I had a good time. Like, thank you for having me once again.
Thank you, Chetan. So you all can reach Mr. Chetan Kale on LinkedIn, like he said, and if you have any queries, he'll be happy to answer. So that's all for today, people. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chetan, once again. Thank you, all the students, and yes, let's meet again soon.
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
Bye.
Chetan. See you. Bye. Thank you.